Oh, that's how you sitting today?
So what?
That's how you sitting today?
It's how I'm starting.
Okay.
Nah, anyway. Yeah.
Hey.
What's going on, world? Welcome to Weird University. It's your boy Kozzie. And per usual, to the
White
right
side.
side is White Side. How y'all doing?
Good
Yeah,
evening.
good evening to you as well, man. Let's get straight to it, man. My apologies, I should have did that before I said let's get straight to it, but either way, we're gonna get
Okay.
straight to it.
I
Either way.
got it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted to touch on this week, uh, because I think that it's near, dear, and important to myself, and it's the awareness of it.
Okay.
I wanted to speak on mental health.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to speak on mental health awareness.
Ooh, all right.
Talk about, I guess some of the things that we go through in the black community, from childhood on up to adulthood.
I'm done.
Some of the things that we carry, some of the things that are hardest to let go, and just get into that whole aspect of it. So for me, well, before I get into me, I'd rather, pass it off to you and ask
Okay.
you, what's your perspective on that and how do you feel about, mental health as a black woman in America?
I mean, I guess for me, I haven't really been through trauma, I'll say. But being on the other side of, I guess, working in it for me is more like, I think it's helpful. I think it's beneficial. Um, I'm not going to say black women. I'm just going to say the black community itself. It's definitely something that was kind of like, I would say maybe about, I mean, it's still kind of taboo, but I guess we're trying to pull more blacks into actually being engaged in therapy. But I mean, when we was like in middle school, high school,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't. Oh, you wouldn't go talk to a therapist? Oh, she crazy. And
I kind of feel like that's still the
and
same
that's what I'm
today.
saying. Like it's
What I
still
mean?
it's getting better. Like
I think it's becoming more
it's
common.
becoming more common.
It's not as taboo as it once was,
Yes.
but depending on the generation of the person you're talking to,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it is still
Oh,
very
yeah.
a taboo subject now.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I think the new generation is part of. They're going to be a part of their everyday life. I really do. Like they have. It is like I'm talking about people who are in their early 20s right now. It will be
Okay.
part of their. It will be part of their
Yeah,
everyday life.
I think so. I think this new generation is a lot more open-minded to a lot of things
They
that
want
were
help.
once shunned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They want help. They'll go to it. They're going to use it.
right.
They're out here for looking for resources. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be quote unquote, and I don't like this word, broken, or they're looking for. And then the other half of it is they seek validation a lot too, and so
That's because of social media,
eh,
but I
yeah,
think social media is going to be the reason why
people
a
go.
lot of people need therapy. You know what I mean? Because of the seeking of validation and not receiving it. You know what I mean?
The
Like
natural way.
more so like if I tell someone, hypothetically speaking, if I give my child a compliment, it may not mean as much
Coming from
if
you.
they is coming from me if the social media doesn't reflect what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It's
You know,
almost
thousand
like
likes from other people you
right.
don't
You know
know.
what I'm saying? So it's like the outside world opinion
And
almost
and that's
matters more than
yeah, and that's weird to me though because you get validation from people who don't know you. So like, how
that's very
credible
true.
is the validation? Like, how much would you weigh somebody who knows nothing about you other than your face for what you put out there?
So why do people post so much on social media?
I don't, and
Why do
that's
you think people post so much on social media?
it's like, look at what I'm doing. Like, see what I'm doing over here. Now some do it just to like throw it in people's face, but it's like those ones that I see when people do that, it's like, well, when you really there, it's like the behind the scenes of it.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
behind the
like,
camera
ooh,
is always
ooh,
10 times worse than
yeah,
in front of
like,
the camera. You know what I mean? So I totally get that.
but I can't answer that question. I just feel like in the generation that I'm in, we're using it more as a networking kind of thing
Okay.
than it is for seeking validation about it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say everybody, but I would say a majority of my generation we're using it for, or we're in the same for networking right now. Like we're in that phase where like we're using it for networking because we're kind of half and half. We're kind of half paper and half computer. Like we started with paper, but we've adapted
Transition over to
right now. We're not
emails
fully
and all of that.
yeah, we're not fully there. Like I mean, we're there as far as like we're fully here in this technology
Yeah.
world, but knowing as much as like my younger cousin now, no.
Right.
Understanding like what's that? I don't even know the real word. I'm calling it internet money. What is it?
Bitcoin
Exactly.
and things of that nature. Okay, I get all of that.
You know what I'm saying?
I get all
Like,
that.
that's not us. Now,
Yeah.
it will be for them, you know.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Learning about Bitcoin could be very.
I'm not saying it's not. What I'm
like-
saying is it's foreign to us.
I mean, not really.
I think
I
it
disagree
is.
with you from the aspect of Bitcoin is new to everybody.
Yeah, but I think going in, I'm talking about as far as in like applying it to how we already use money now. And so,
But they only had the same amount of time with it that we had. It's just a matter of
but
whether
they
or
haven't
not
been able to work with money. Like,
we used to. I mean, I get kind of what you're saying.
We're
I'm
used
just
to
more so
paper,
looking at it from the
money.
lens of
right.
it all came out within the past
It all
2
came
years.
out, but it's not something, it's new to them, but it's like you haven't had a chance to know the old way either. Like, you're still that fresh. Like,
Yeah, I give you that. I give you that.
You're not going to know what it felt like to really exchange money. Like,
I give you that.
or the
to some
value of the
degree.
dollar itself. Like, you know, because of what
Value
they
of
tell
the
you.
dollar's
it is.
even changing
Yeah.
when it comes down to
exactly.
the paper aspect of it.
But going back to your original question,
Yeah, right.
mental health as far as for me, going back, I think it's definitely an issue right now. And definitely everything going on is definitely going to be something that's going to be it's something everybody need, but it's also going to be hard to get, and I'm going to say why. Because everybody's going to be wanting it right now with everything going on, and we don't have enough people to take care or to see everybody who wants or assist, like who wants the mental health. Like right now, I could say like we're not taking a lot of like, we'll take everybody, but you still might not get seen to like hooked up to a person to be seen, even with insurance and stuff changing and how everything is going through. You might not get seen for a month or so, so you're gonna have to learn how to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want the help is there, but doesn't mean it's gonna instantly happen.
Right.
It's
right.
how it used to. You can just like, oh, it's in my insurance covered. All right, cool. I can connect to a therapist, and next week you there. Nah.
So I guess I mean you don't have to get into it if you don't want to, but I guess with your company, y'all short staffed as well, as far as therapists
Yeah,
are
well,
concerned?
it ain't even short staff. Like we have staff, but the amount of people that are coming is not. We don't have the staff for that. That's what I'm saying. Like
Okay, I
it's
get
more of
that.
a
I
demand
get
than
that.
we can. Like
Yeah.
we have all the therapists, you know what I'm saying, that we can put out there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying, but it ain't but so many hours in a day.
So
You want your time equality, so you get an hour, but I mean, we work, maybe 7-8 hours a day?
you don't work 7
Well,
hours.
I do. Don't do that. I do. What I'm saying is that like,
But no, I got you though. You know what I mean. But I totally get it. You know what I mean. I think it's more so where you're looking at as well
oh yeah.
to get services.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, when I was in therapy, and I miss you so much, but I'll be calling you soon. I just got
Please.
some things to iron out. But I am. Yeah, I mean, but when I spoke with her when we did my assessment and things of that nature, it was a matter of a week to 2 weeks tops before I was able to have a session with her. You know what I mean? So I really feel like it's about where you looking at
Of course.
to receive services, but it also, I think it's a matter of being knowledgeable enough to know what you need.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
And-
I think
yeah.
that's really important when
It
it
is.
comes down to
it is.
mental health, is saying, okay, you may not be able to pinpoint an exact diagnosis of what's wrong
Of
with you,
course.
but you can say, if you're honest with yourself, how you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I guess when I say that, as far as I'm like, it comes a thing when you don't know, and so that means you have to go through, your assessment and figure out like what it is that you need to really get. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then it's also the thing of, and I'm not downplaying what you go to therapy for, but we have people who like they need immediate attention, like.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of severe cases out there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like if your case is severe, I don't think. I mean, I'm not the one to tell someone what
Right.
they do or don't need.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
if
I
your
can't.
case is severe, perhaps you need hospitalization.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A
And
lot
that's.
more than you would need a weekly or you know what I'm saying, two
Mhm.
times a week sit down session.
and,
You know what
and
I'm
and
saying?
that's hard
Because
though. They're not taking like it's really hard to even go to the hospital. Like I'm not gonna
it's been
lie.
a long time since I've been on that side, so I can't speak
Oh
to the rates of what
man,
hospitalization is
of
like.
having crises right now, um,
It's
like
just crisis, but go ahead. Nah, go ahead for real.
there is like we're not doing in person like response.
What do you mean?
So like if I have the crisis phone,
Right. Oh yeah, it's all over the
I'm
phone.
over the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I
but
thought that
there
was
is
always
a
the case unless it was like
but
dire. I have to come out, you
But
know.
it's
But before
no
that,
dire. It's I'm now giving you the number to call the mobile crisis, the North
oh
Carolina
okay,
mobile
okay,
crisis.
okay.
Like we're not
So
going,
no matter the situation,
and because it's at that point, if it's that serious, you need to call 911. There's nothing that we can really
right?
do. But it's also I had the phone and it was more like they was telling me like, well, I called to like Holly Hill and places like that. They at one point they was like they're not taking any more kids in right now tonight. Like
Mm,
you can go to they was like you can go to the Wait Man. But they not taking nobody. There ain't no
right,
openings in the
right.
beds. So it's kind of like that's even with the regular hospital. Like unless you got you bleeding out, you might not want to go. You might want to go to your urgent care.
Okay, got you. But wanted to stay on some things something
Okay.
that you mentioned though. You know what I mean? Because I know that, and this question comes because of a conversation I had a couple of days ago,
Okay.
with my parent, my mom, not my parents, my mom. But just thinking about how you said that you never really experienced any trauma. Have you ever gathered a sense of just from your surroundings that the people who brought you up experienced trauma,
Oh yeah.
and how do you see them responding to some of the trauma that you think that they may have experienced?
Okay. Shout out to my parents.
Yeah, big love. Oh, happy birthday, moms too. You know what I'm saying?
Yay. Okay. Trying to make them aware that what they are going through is you've been through something, and this is why it's kind of happening. It's kind of like on time because they're so we talk about this stuck in their ways
Yeah.
or in their beliefs that they don't need that help. And that's for people who are crazy. I'm like, but what's crazy? Like, and trying to get them to use better language. Like,
Yeah.
it goes down a whole, like, you know what? It's better to just, like, because you can try to explain it to them till you're red in the face, but the first step to anything is, accepting it and getting out of denial. Like, getting out that first step of being out of denial and knowing that you might need some help.
Right. Right.
And to, you know, shed light on it. Oh, no. I know what it looked like. You know what it looked like versus what your parents said that, oh, yeah, that's what that is. That's what bipolar means or that's what schizophrenia means.
Right.
No, they told you that's what it looked like. But do you know what the real definition of it, what the real symptoms are?
Right.
You saw somebody maybe in a manic or high or low, but do you really know what it is?
Right.
Because you're trying to tell me that you don't have it based on what you saw for that person.
Okay.
And but I can definitely tell
I mean-
like my dad from being in the service,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And
But
coming back.
and this is just me speaking, and I'm outside looking in. Of
Yeah.
course, I wasn't there for your childhood, and I know Pops now. I don't know Pops
Right.
20, 30, 40 years
Right,
ago.
right.
But I see some of the things, and I ask that because, like, I see the trauma in my family now, but I was blind to it then, and I see how it affected me, and also put me in a situation where I experienced traumatic situations.
So you
Yeah,
feel
I'm
like it's
saying.
like a domino effect.
I mean, I say this is what I feel. As far as my situation, I think that what was considered culture
Yes.
was just trauma.
Of course.
And it was presented in ways where sometimes it was discipline.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was
Listen,
no, just absence.
okay.
You
Or
know what I'm
avoidance
saying?
or just absence?
No. Absence of the person who was supposed to be the
Oh,
provider.
okay.
You know what I mean? And that was them dealing with their trauma,
Was just not
but not realizing that their absence was also putting me traumatizing
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that when I reflect on, my life and some of the things I went through, and I'm looking at what was quote unquote culture or just the way it was, and then it was always, you know, you'll be okay, you'll be okay.
It all worked out.
And I wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Or I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I
Or
mean?
it didn't.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it took me to get to a certain point where I had to start noticing certain things. And I would look at certain family members and I would see how they were. And I never judge nobody for how they were or how they
Right.
are, whatever the case may be. But I can see the trauma in my family. Some of my
Yeah.
aunts, uncles, some of my cousins who are my peers and things of that nature. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that anything is wrong with us.
Right.
It's just a matter of kind of what you were speaking on. At what point do you look in the mirror and be like, yo, something ain't quite right?
Yeah.
Or it's okay to talk to somebody who may have an answer or a suggestion to
That's not
how
right.
I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. And so I agree, and I feel like I had to change the way I was presenting it to my
Right,
dad, because if I present it like you're crazy in his words, he ain't going for it. But I had to
Right.
you might want to talk to somebody who's not in nobody's corner, because you claim that somebody's in somebody's corner.
Right.
You want somebody to kind of be biased in the middle and not in the corner who doesn't know, and just talk to. Like, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, but you might want to talk to somebody who's not going to judge you or say you're any less or any more or anything like that. Because
Right.
that's his issue is being judged and being his whole. And then it goes back to his trauma makes him not understand things the way I'm trying to present them either. Because in his mind, and it comes from being in the service and then being in a career that kind of was the same thing. Like, you came from out of the military, you went straight to being in the prison. So you went from somebody telling you what to do to now you're in charge and telling what other people what to do. And so now you have this control thing where, like, if you're not in control, then nothing else matters. Like, what you think, what you say, it don't matter because it's not what I believe, so it's not valid.
So
it's not
subjective
valid.
thinking is not his strong suit.
No, because
Yeah,
it's if it's not the Bible way, or if it's not the traditional way of how things should be, oh, I don't want to hear know what you're talking about, because it's crazy. It don't make sense. It's not. That's not right. And so that's where he's at.
I think that's why your mom and pop get along, because they both kind of are
Oh, yeah.
strong-minded and
Oh, yeah.
stubborn.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean-
and I told him, I said, both of y'all, the both of y'all have control issues, so y'all both are just fighting for control every single time.
Right.
And then the issue ain't even like about who gonna be in control. If y'all was just let it be, like just drop it, like
Right.
and because it go and it's more like, if I say, well, Dad, you this and this, well, what about her? It can't be. I talking about. He gotta. Well, you ain't saying nothing about her because I'm talking to you.
Right.
Well, I'm not the only one. Her. But you missing the point. I'm not talking about her right now. I'm talking about you.
You feel like you picked up on any of that?
The control.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I went on a trip with some of my friends. New Year's last year, went to the beach.
Right.
And I realized, like, that's when I really realized, like, I am my mom. Like, I am becoming.
Which I've been telling you forever.
Yeah, you haven't told me I was Norwalk for a long time. But I seen it, and I had to accept it, like, it is what it is. But the control thing is, I don't like to control things, but, like, I didn't call it control. My friend told me it was control. I said, no, I think I'm just like things a certain way. And
That's Very
I-
much control. Very
So
much
look,
control.
I sat there and explained it to him, and he said they gave me the what's the guy that was on ESPN we was talking about?
Oh, Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, he kept giving me that. He kept
Oh, you
doing
talking
that.
about Skip Bayless?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He was doing that while I was talking, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was explaining. He was like, and then he said, "So control. That's the definition that you just went around the road
Basically,
and
went all
explained."
around the road
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
explain
He was
control.
like, you just explained control. He was like, because you know, I was used to being a person who was in charge of like booking the place and figuring out what we're gonna do and stuff like that. So it's like he booked the place, you know what I'm saying? You invited us to go, and I just made suggestions like, well, when we usually go, this is what we do, and he was like, okay, cool, but it was like, nah. Like, he took some of it,
Yeah.
but not all of it. And so it's like little things like, y'all don't want to like clean up before we leave, like clean up tonight so we ain't gotta be rushing in the morning to do it.
Right. So I feel like even though you opened it up by saying that you don't feel like you really experienced anything, I think that what you have just kind of was inherited. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But one other thing I was gonna touch on with you was because you're kind of downplaying what you may or may have not experienced. Being a young woman out here dating, do you think that you have encountered a black man who has suffered some mental health issues? And I guess I'll ask you, how do you handle that when you are dealing with someone who has, if you have done so?
I mean, I have, and it's not, and I don't like how do I handle it, because it's not something like that I have to handle.
Well, I mean, when I say handle, I guess I ask more so, how do you maneuver in that situation?
I mean, it's just really being supportive, like, letting them know, like, if we're in this, you know what I'm saying, then I have to be somebody that you can trust and bring in your circle enough so that I know what's going on. Because if I'm in the dark about it, I can't be supportive or be there for you when you're going through it, because I don't know. And I only know what you tell me. If you don't tell me anything, then I don't know anything. So I can't be of any support to you. And I definitely encourage, like, I have definitely encouraged a couple of people, like, you might, and it wasn't because, it wasn't like things were just like super, super crazy. It was just more like, I feel like the things that you might want to touch on that you're probably not quite ready to open or let that guard down to talk about it.
Right.
I might not be the person to do it, because I understand that I'm not a permanent person per se in no arena for you to open that guard up either. And being the person in your corner, I'm gonna always be in your corner. It's probably not the most clinical thing to do. Like, you want to be somebody that's biased. So I want to be their supporter, but I can't be somebody that you're like unloading a whole lot of stuff on, because I can help you, but I can't carry it for you.
Well, I'll tell anyone, it's never your job to carry someone else's cross.
Yeah,
that's the
remember
term that
that.
I use. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to carry a cross for you.
Yeah.
But I can encourage you and give you strength when you feel weak carrying your cross. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
I guess that kind of plays into the term being supportive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think learning what the person needs are is really important, you know, and understanding and observing whenever they may be going on. I guess I'll use the term, I don't know if this is the right term, going on like a mental health trip. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever, the highs and lows or whatever mood it may be, whether it's anxiety, depression, or whatever it may be, because to have a mental health diagnosis it's a 24-hour thing, but it's not a situation where I'm in it all 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? So battling depression, I'm not always depressed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not always sad.
But I don't think people understand.
I'm not always down.
Depression doesn't mean always sad either.
You know what I mean?
And I go through this a lot when even in the field, like, being depressed doesn't mean you're gonna be sad or gonna look sad. Like
Right.
that's not what it is. And I think the education of learning about mental health is probably better
Definitely.
because I feel like that's what we take some of the tabooness away from
Right.
if we learn about it. Like anything is
Right.
foreign, it seems crazy or whatever
Definitely.
when you're not educated about it.
Right. Right.
You know?
You know what I mean? For me personally, like, I was hesitant at first when I first got involved with therapy,
Right.
but once I got into it, I actually let my kid know,
Good.
like, yo, your dad, he goes get help. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You need young black boys to
you know
understand
what I
that.
mean? Like, yo, some days are rough out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I often tell him, I try to keep it as 1,000 as I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He still want to be a kid, but also he's getting to the age where being a kid is kind of going out the window.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting to the window. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To the point where it's
He's
like,
knocking
okay,
on it.
I have to start thinking about how I'm going to transition into adulthood and how I'm going to handle those things. You know what I'm saying? And even the situation, you know, that of course, you know about the things that I went through with my daughter. That's very traumatizing to me to this day. The expectations that I had of myself
Yeah.
as a dad, and to have all these things be said about me. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The living in my truth is the only thing that I have gratification in.
And
But
peace and
it
all.
still doesn't eliminate the pain that
Oh, yeah.
comes with, things being what they are. But, that's something that I often speak to my therapist about. You know what I mean? I actually considered having a truth session, and I was talking to Rouse, and he was like, we all here for a certain time. And he said, you should tell your truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then I was like, if I tell my truth, it would be I feel like it would expose a lot of people. And I don't really feel like being that person. You know what I'm saying? So I
But-
more so just sit on it and process through it on my own. The objective for me is to be in a better place mentally and spiritually when everything comes back around full circle.
I mean, I'm half and half. I do feel like you should tell the truth, but I also understand like it kind of goes back to like what we was talking about earlier, like you telling it and then what's gonna happen, like what is it gonna?
I mean, it really can't change anything,
Right.
to be honest with you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because the situation is what it is
Yeah.
at this particular point. You know what I mean? The only thing I can do really is just focus on continuing to better myself
Right.
as an individual.
And I
You know
mean,
what
and if that's part of it, that's the part that I agree. Like, yeah, tell the truth. But at the end of the day, if it's not going to change anything, it's something about making you feel a certain way. You already know how that, like, you're already working to make that feeling of being okay. So it's kind of like, if you don't want to expose people, and I can respect that. But at the end of the day, what's done in the dark comes
I've been
to
playing
light.
the nice guy for a very long
Yeah, I
time.
mean, what happens in the dark comes to light, and maybe the truth is light, and
Yeah,
that's okay too.
I've been playing the nice
That's
guy for a
okay.
very long time. Yeah, I mean, to the point where, oh, honestly, it has played a significant role in my depression. I mean, I appreciate you being the homie you've been here. Sometimes I just be in here with a face full of tears. You know what I mean? But that's life. One thing I will say, you know what I mean, to my fellow brothers out there, I know when we were younger, especially my generation, if we were to have hurt ourselves, a lot of times they'd be like, yo, get up, walk it off, be a man, be tough,
I hate that word.
all those type of things. I'll say this, it's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry.
It's got to be vulnerable.
I mean, whether you crying by yourself or you crying in someone's arms, who is considered a support system, or if you talking to a therapist. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt. You know what I mean? I just wanted to speak on that. I mean, for me, just like I said, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Week. I'm sorry. So I've been looking at a lot of different things pertaining to mental health, and that hotline blowing. My mental health is on fire right now. Popping. But nah, though, I really wanted to get into the crux of that, man, and just speak on it from a man perspective,
Yeah, definitely.
and some of the traumas I've experienced as a child, and you know, some of the ways that I've learned to cope with it as an adult. I don't do it as much. I still do consume alcohol, but I don't consume alcohol to hide the pain. I just be drinking. You know what I mean?
So when
But
did
at
you?
one point I needed
Okay.
alcohol. I needed
Yeah.
alcohol
Uh-huh.
in order to feel like I wouldn't be sad.
So when did you feel like? At what point did you realize that that's what you was doing? Because I feel like that's a point for
Uh,
some people where they're kind of like, "Oh, I'm just drinking to be drinking." Like, no.
well, I don't know if it was an exact point or
When
an
did you think
exact
of yourself,
situation.
or I guess
Um,
realization? Yeah.
I just more so like I spend a lot of time in my head. I spend a lot of time in the mirror. I don't really like to lie to myself about things or whatever. And I think that I guess if I had to pick a time that I realized that I was using alcohol to help me get through was when I went on, because you know I had some of my times when I had my like dry
Yeah.
weeks where I go a week or two,
Yeah.
3 weeks, I just be like, I'm not drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And in those moments I have my most clear thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I realized that I can get through my depression and my trauma and the things that I'm going through without alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but when I'm doing that and I have to fight to do that or fight to make that conscious decision, because normally I'd be like, yo, fuck it, rough day, get a drink. You know what I'm saying? But I caught myself in moments where I was drinking to celebrate good times and I was drinking whenever I was having bad times. So it was like, damn, the highs and lows of life, I needed a drink in my hand regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
And realizing that about myself made me feel like, let's try to go through without. And that's when I kind of started having the dry periods or whatever, you know what I mean? And then I started doing something too. I really started listening to my body more, you know what I'm saying? And my body would tell me, like, okay, you're drinking. Next day you wake up, nigga, you still drinking, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I could feel that, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, on me and feel that inside of me. And it was, my body was taking a toll, and I still was in the same place mentally that I was in before and after I
You
would
weren't making no
consume
growth,
alcohol.
yeah.
I wasn't doing any, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a total me tearing myself down in every aspect, mentally, physically, and then I'll be drunk and I'll be crying, you know what I mean? So it was like there was really no growth coming from me consuming alcohol the way that I was consuming alcohol, just to get past what I was never getting past, because there's no getting past this.
No, you have to go through it.
It's going through and it's
Going
processing it every
Mm-hmm.
time it comes to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's a big lesson.
yeah, definitely, I guess for me though, like I said, that's really what I wanted to harp on this week, I didn't really want to get into too many other things. I just want to kind of to put that message out there for anybody and everybody
Yeah.
who is going through something, has been through something. I just say keep pushing, and to especially my black men, my black brothers out there,
Yes, please.
it is okay. It is okay to cry. It is okay to be vulnerable.
All of those.
In all aspects of your life. And I heard, man, I wish I could think of of the gentleman's name right now. But he said something to me that stood out more so than a lot of the other things he said, but he dropped a lot of gems. He said, just because something is wrong doesn't mean that something is wrong. You know what I mean? So if something is wrong, it's okay to get help. I mean, that's really all I had.
I mean, I think it's one of those being in. It's not even. I just feel like it's so. I don't know why this whole. I can't get into words. It's okay to not be 100%. Like it's. You should. I just feel like you should. Like there's no. Just strive to be at 100%. And what I mean by 100% is thinking like nothing's going on, nothing's wrong. It's not reality. Like that's an unrealistic type of goal to get to. Like you could be happy and still be stuff going on.
I appreciate that word. I think I needed that for me.
Because I mean that's just an unrealistic goal, and you're gonna tire yourself out trying to get there. and it's a balance. Like, just what we was talking about, like, it may look pretty or whatever on the outside, but that shit on the inside or the background is just fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely appreciate that. I say I needed that for me more so because I think that I'm always putting pressure on myself to get to the next level, and by doing so, I'm putting stress on myself as well because I'm trying to get there. You know what I mean? And
you got to be in this, like you tell me, you got to be in the moment and enjoy this moment and appreciate where you are from looking back at where you used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to always, there's no time where it should be that you should stop growing and want to improve. So to have this unrealistic goal of being perfect, and we've always said there's no such thing as perfect, it's going to always be something.
True.
And that's okay, because that's a healthy balance.
True.
It shouldn't be that you don't like, it's nothing for us you to improve on. No, because then what? Why not? You should always keep pushing. At what time we stop, then what are you doing?
You just sitting there,
letting everything go past by. So like, no, it should always. It's never be like striving for something to be like, oh, it's perfect, or I want this. That's not realistic at all.
I feel you. But like I said, though, you know what I'm saying? That's really just what I wanted to touch on this week. I just wanted to speak on the whole mental health aspect of things. Like I said, it is Mental Health Week. And to anybody out there who needs help, please get help. Do not sit around and feel like you are not alone. I mean, when I got into therapy, I simply got on Google, looked up therapists in my area, looked in the mirror, tried to give myself some type of self-assessment to figure out what I felt like I needed, and they have it listed. They have the people who are therapist specialties listed, and you can find someone who works well for you. Personally, I went to Counsel for the Culture. I felt like I needed a black therapist because me being a black person, I didn't want to explain to someone. I was torn, to be honest. My first thought was I wanted someone who had a different outlook on life than what I had. And I felt like they could give me a different perspective. But as I kind of got into it, I didn't feel like I needed to try to explain my culture to someone for them to gain an understanding about why I needed to be sitting here talking to them.
I mean, I get that. I feel like it's some things that when you're in therapy, you don't want to have to, like, explain. Like, I get it. I get that.
Right.
I get that. But, and then, I'm just in limbo on with it because I don't want it to be where we feel like, and this is on the other side of it, that they can't handle it either. Like,
what you mean they can't handle it?
Because I have this thing, like, we talk about so much, like, we all got the same education. If y'all all went and got your master's degree to be a licensed person, you should all be able to handle certain therapy things. When you say fit, though, it's because who fits for you that you actually can connect with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I have the issue of, and this is on the other side of, I didn't like when I was at work being like, oh, well, I'm going to put you over here on the Black Girl Magic team because you're a black female. That girl over there went to school just like everybody else went to school. And I get it that but the thing is, then you'll put her there, and I can't relate and we can't connect because I have nothing in common or understand anything that you're coming from.
Right. I give you that. I guess.
And then we want them to better understand. We want to better understand each other. We got to kind of close that.
True.
But I'm all about, putting business with black people. I'm always about that too. But I'm also like, if we're gonna be living in this whole world, like, the only way we're gonna understand each other, we got to work together.
Yeah, but I need to be and if I'm having mental health issues, I need to have a better understanding of myself.
And that's true.
More so than have an understanding of what's going on in your life.
And I get it.
I'm here for me, not for the world. I'm here for, what I'm saying?
I'm on the other side of it. I'm on the other side of it. Going through it, I couldn't see my life. I don't want to explain Big Mama House. You know what that means when I say we all say the Big Mama House. And it was like, Big Mama. No, that's okay. And I get
Who's
that.
Big Mama?
Who's Big Mama? Who exactly is Big Mama?
Right.
I don't know who child of who they are, but we call it Big Mama. That's it.
Right.
I don't want to explain the family tree.
Got you.
I don't want
got
to
you.
do that. So I get it.
But yeah, man. Like I said, you know, I want to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I ain't gonna keep, you know, going back and forth, you know, about the subject matter. I really just wanted to speak on it, put it out there, talk to my people. Again, you know, like I said a couple of minutes ago, just because something is wrong doesn't mean that something is wrong. Get help. You know what I'm saying?
Please.
Again, yo, it's your boy Kazi.
Hey, right side on the no, white side on the right side.
Come on and act like you know your place.
Ooh, that place word. Cut it out.
We up. We out, baby. Y'all be
Good
blessed.
night.